Hello, my book loving friends. How are y'all doing? Is it a bit embarrassing that I recently filmed a book haul? Maybe. Then again, 2 months. To some, that's like fairly recently, but to others, that's a lifetime ago. So who's to say really? I was actually just thinking about how most book hauls start with some variation of, hi guys, yeah, so I have a book shopping problem. Am I wrong? But it's like, what else do you say? So I'm not going to say that, even though I want to. I have a accumulation of books here I've collected over the past few months from various online and physical bookstores. Frog got my throat, which is honestly great. I'm supporting the bookish economy, just trying to stay positive while my wallet's in shambles. So I thought I'd sit down with y'all and film a little collective haul, so without further ado, let's get to it. While I was in my hometown the other week visiting my parents, I of course had to make the required trip to Second and Charles and see what their inventory was looking like. I have these priorities for a reason because I found some books I've been looking for secondhand. The first being Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. I have only read Alice Feeney's more recent releases and love them, so I've been wanting to dive into her backlist, though I'm honestly not quite sure about this one. The book could still prove me wrong, and by all means I hope it does, but Sometimes I Lie, we are obviously dealing with an unreliable narrator here. We also know from the back that our MC is in a coma, in this paralyzed state where she can hear everything going on but cannot react. That is terrifying. Let's circle back to that. But when a character in a story is unreliable, that is usually revealed as the story goes on after you've already formed a connection to them. This novel, on the other hand, is like, yeah, don't trust our protagonist. She's a liar. So what I'm hearing is I'm going to be second guessing the narrative the whole time. Fun stuff, fun stuff. Nevertheless, this is definitely a unique spin on that trope. God, can you just imagine being in a half coma, half paralyzed state? I would go insane. I would mentally admit myself. So I'm really interested to see how Alice Feeney writes our protagonist's thoughts and emotions. Oh, this is here for our books. Next, I found A Curious Beginning by Deanna Rayburn. I have been struggling to find this one in store for some reason. It's not like it's a new book. Maybe everyone in my area just wants to read it, I don't know. So I was not expecting to find this, let alone a used copy, therefore a cheaper copy, therefore a copy in which I'd be picking up. This is the first installment in a historical fiction mystery series that I believe follows a lepidopterist slash taxidermist who gets pulled into investigating this murder mystery, but in doing so, runs away to the circus. Immediately I have so many questions. Don't worry, it's not just you. I also did not know what a lepidopterist was. Apparently, it's a person who studies butterflies. I have also heard from a source of mine that there's a kind of slow burn romance that develops over the series. Love that. Now, when I read historical fiction, I always joke with people who read a lot of historical fiction that I don't read that historical of fiction. I'm talking like 1950s. However, this book is set in 1887. I have not read a book set in that time period since I was a child, but I've heard great things from BookTube and people IRL. All right, this next book, before your memory fades, I took a leap of faith with buying. I've not read the 2 books that predate this one, which I don't love buying later books in a series that I don't even know if I'll like yet, but you see, this was only $5, when usually these are like $20 a pop, because they don't sell the paperbacks in the US from what I've seen. Though I've heard from some of you guys not in the US that you can get the paperbacks but not the hardcovers. Hopefully these novels don't disappoint. I don't think they will because they all take place in a coffee shop and like, come on. I am known in my friend group as the coffee aficionado. I didn't even try to do that. That seems like something I'd try to do because hello, it's me. So it's a personality trait that I embrace because coffee is great. Anyways, love books set in coffee shops, or even if a character is just going into a coffee shop, I'm like, ooh, story's picking up now. You're ordering an extra hot cappuccino with 2% milk? You're a guy after my own heart. That's my coffee order for future reference. I'm excited to start the series. I do have the first one, which I'm planning on getting to this winter. Literally the day after I went to Second and Charles, I learned that my local library was having a book sale. So I thought might as well check it out, drag my mom along with me as well, and help her find some books that she didn't know she needed. I try to be helpful where I can, you know? It was the last day of the sale, so I thought it would already be pretty picked over, but to say that I was surprised with what I was able to find is an understatement. A man called Uwe boba I was this close to buying the day prior. I don't know what's taking me so long to pick this up, but I'm so glad that I was able to find it for only $1. I'm getting strong Up vibes from this book. From what I know, we basically follow this grumpy old man who keeps to himself until one day a new family moves in next door and they start poking around and injecting themselves into his life. This has been described as the perfect mix of funny and sad, and yeah, I believe it. I've seen this make people cry, and I know Frederick Bachman can write humor. That was evident in Anxious People. The librarian there even said this was a good one, so in librarians we trust. I also picked up Dating is Murder. I agree. Can we take a moment to appreciate this cover? It's giving 80s Zumba outfit. Love that. Though I love the kind of ironic title and iconic cover. The deciding factor for me was actually learning that this revolves around a reality TV show, a dating reality TV show. I saw the name and I was like, hello, read the back, and it was Coming Home with Me. Reality TV is hectic enough, especially reality dating TV shows, so I can't imagine how a fictionalized version with murder in the title will unfold. So our protagonist in here, a greeting card artist. Why do protagonists in comedies always have like a really niche job? Or they're just a baker. No in between. So our protagonist, she signs up for a reality TV show called The Biological Clock. Oh my. But after one of her friends vanishes, she gets involved in an FBI investigation where she soon finds herself stalked by an assortment of threatening characters. But it also seems like the lead detective on this case is interested in her, so I'm sensing some romance. I didn't even know this book existed until that day, but it seems like it was written for me, so hopefully it'll be good. My mom actually found this next one. Thank you, Mother. This is why we bring you on these trips. That is Silver Girl by Ellen Hildebrand. Y'all know Ellen Hildebrand is an author I always have on rotation. I recommend buying her books secondhand as they're usually not that hard to find. That's what I do. In Silver Girl, we follow Meredith and her friend Connie as they depart for a summer on Nantucket in an attempt to heal. Meredith has just lost everything due to her fraudulent money embezzling husband. Connie, on the other hand, something's going on with her as well. Not sure what that is, but Connie does invite her brother Toby on this girls trip turn not girls trip, who is consequently also Meredith's ex-boyfriend. Okay, so Connie is either a terrible friend or is trying to play matchmaker, or maybe a bit of both. I'm intrigued. This sounds like the usual Ellen Hildebrand poignant character-focused novel. I know that this is an older book of hers. You can even tell like the pages are kind of like yellow. Okay, this was released in 2011, so not that old, but still that's like over 10 years ago. Oh my god. But in the timeline of Ellen Hildebrand novels, this is an earlier work of hers. I've read 5 other Ellen Hildebrand books, and I have not been let down yet, so hopefully this will not be the first. I was just counting my books on my shelf over there, if you're wondering. I also found this thickie. Look how thick that is. How many pages is this? Oh god. Oh god. Oh god. This is over 460 pages. It's kind of like a brick. That is The Change by Kristen Miller. For the longest time, I thought this was a thriller, but on Goodreads, fantasy is labeled first. Okay. Although I don't know much about this, I've heard good things. From the synopsis, it looks like we follow 3 middle-aged women going through their own midlife crisis of sorts, until one day they find a dead body, which catapults their own investigation into this murder, where they utilize their newfound powers. Okay, I think I see where the fantasy element comes into play. That was probably a very convoluted description, but the synopsis was very confusing. There was a lot going on in it. I don't know, let me know if you've read this and your thoughts. And then lastly, from the library, I picked up The Lunar Housewife by Caroline Woods, a historical fiction novel set in, you guessed it, the 50s. Can I just say, this woman here is absolutely gorgeous. This whole cover, really. In this novel, our protagonist is on-the-rise author Louise Leithauser, who, while not working on her current novel, works freelance. And it is at one of these gigs where she learns that her boyfriend, Joe, may be involved in some FBI conspiracy theory where the government is censoring writers. Although this is historical fiction, I saw that there's supposed to be a strong element of mystery and romance. I read a review on Goodreads complaining about how there was more romance than history in here, which to me, a romance lover, is music to my ears. Like, sounds great. I'm curious to see how the housewife element plays a role in here, because our protagonist seems very much not a housewife. She's a working woman, so not sure what that's all about, but I guess we'll see. I need to change this battery, but then we can get into the packages. Cool plan. Let's move on to my recent Book Outlet order. Where's my scissors? Book Outlet is the only site I've known to shrink wrap boxes. Arguably not great for the environment, but I appreciate the sentiment. I actually browse on Book Outlet a lot, just to window shop. off. Though maybe I shouldn't, because this browsing trip turned into a shopping trip. Say, oh my god, I'm so excited. So excited. When I saw Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood, I knew I needed to pick it up. This has to be one of the top grossing novels of 2023. This and Happy Place, of course. Emily Henry, always my number one. I actually believe I placed this order right after finishing the Ali Hazelwood novella bind up. So I think it's fair to blame this all on Ali Hazelwood. Totally. This time around, the classic enemies to lovers styled Ali Hazelwood romance that has some of us in a chokehold revolves around a thermodynamic professor who on the side is a fake girlfriend. Basically, she has monetized being people's fake girlfriends. Until one night she learns that one of her clients' older brothers is an experimental physicist who is known to undermine the reputation of theorists such as herself. So on the science career spectrum, these two are at opposite ends. But still, that doesn't stop something from sparking in between them. I bet he couldn't resist her. You just know that their path was not one of least resistance. I refuse to believe that the chemistry between these two isn't shocking. Doesn't even make sense. Fake dating is one of my favorite tropes in romantic comedies because they're usually done in a really humorous way where the characters initially unknowingly but turned knowingly fall in love with each other, and you, the reader, already know that they're in a relationship even if they won't admit that to themselves. They're like, yeah, we're not actually dating, when they're totally dating. It's so cute. I can't get enough. I feel like everyone has that one genre where they want to read as many authors as they can from. Obviously, the thriller genre would be that for me. I want to be an encyclopedia of thrillers up here. And an author I have not read anything from but I've heard great things is Samantha Downing. My Lovely Wife in particular has been one I've been wanting to pick up from her. Located in the suburbs, this thriller follows a seemingly normal couple who are also serial killers when they get bored of suburban life. I understand. Yeah, that is all we know from the synopsis. But unhinged couple? Check. Domestic setting? Check. I'm in. I've heard that the twist in this one is really good. The wife is said to be the strong female character, which is my favorite type of character, and so I'm really excited to get to this. Next, I got The Last House on Needless Street. Kind of seems like a large print. I don't think it is. That is definitely bigger than a regular paperback though. Okay. This is a horror novel that I believe is told from a cat's perspective. Interesting, right? Now, every time I've seen someone talk about this, they say to go into it blind. Additionally, the back does not talk much about the plot whatsoever. All we know is that a young girl isn't allowed outside, not after last time. Sure. A man who drinks alone in front of his TV, trying to ignore gaps in his memories. Dementia, cool. And a house cat who loves napping and reading the Bible. Sounds about right. I think this is one of those books where you don't really know what's going on until 2/3 of the way through, but honestly, I'm just kind of excited for the cat. I like that unique approach to the narrative. How big do you think we can get this stack going before it like topples? Wanna bet? I also picked up Business or Pleasure, Rachel Lynn Solomon's 2023 release. This is her third adult romance. What I really loved about her previous novels were the workplace settings in the entertainment industry and reading all the little day-to-day details. And the X-Talk that was the radio station, and Weather Girl that was a newscaster. This book does not take place in a workplace setting. However, it does revolve around coworkers. Let me explain. Basically, our protagonist in here, Chandler, is a ghostwriter who is hired to write the memoir for the C-list actor with whom she'd had a one-night stand of mishaps. But this actor, on the other hand, thought they had a grand old time, and it isn't until Chandler's like, yeah, no, does he realize that their night might not have been as great as he remembered it to be. His manhood is understandably a bit distraught, but Chandler so kindly is like, I'll teach you. Remember, she is writing his memoir. Professionalism is apparently not a thing here. It's giving nothing can possibly go wrong energy. I've been anticipating this release. It seems fun, and I'm excited to read another book from this author. Give me the X-Talk 2.0, please and thank you. Next, I got A Perfect Murders by Peter Swanson. Bravo for the name. Like, I immediately want to know more. 8 Perfect Murders? What even is a perfect murder? How is that even possible? Let alone 8 perfect murders. Peter Swanson's novels seem to be hit or miss with people, but I've seen this one recommended a lot, and it does sound really good. We follow Malcolm, a bookseller who years ago posted an innocent little blog post of the mystery genre's most unsolvable murders. Fast forward to the present day when the FBI comes knocking on Malcolm's door, trying to tie him to murders that span in the exact same manner as this list he created all those years ago. So Malcolm then decides to start his own investigation into who's committing these killings and why they seem to know so much about his life. life. If you have read this book, I need y'all's advice. Since these 8 perfect murders are based off of real stories such as the ABC Murders by Agatha Christie and The Secret History by Donna Tartt, will this book spoil those novels for me? Also, would I get more out of the story if I were to read those other books first? I'm not saying I want to read all of them, but should I read the ones that I'm kind of interested in beforehand? Let me know. This sounds good though. It's not even 300 pages, so this will be a pretty quick read. I keep seeing this next book everywhere, or maybe I just want to read it, so I subconsciously keep seeking it out. That is Vera Wong's Unsolicited Advice for Murderers. This is a cozy mystery that follows tea shop owner Vera Wong, who wakes up one morning to find a dead man in the middle of her shop. How unfortunate. But instead of letting the police deal with it, she's like, I can do better than them. So Vera, this little old lady, decides that she's going to catch the killer. Okay, queen. I'm excited. I've been getting into cozies. I just read Magic Pies and Deadly Lies. No. Magic Lies and Deadly Pies recently, and I enjoyed it. Not my favorite, we'll talk about it in a wrap up, but I've been getting into cozies, so I'm excited to give another one a go. This also has a pretty high Goodreads rating. Anything above a 4 on Goodreads that's not like super hyped, I am expecting great things from. I also went to the Green Valley Book Fair randomly one day. Look, college is stressful, which is not an excuse, but it is my excuse. I really just went to look around, but I did find one book, The Woman Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. I really didn't know anything about this book before I picked it up. I had just assumed that this was a cabin in the woods type of thriller, but no, this takes place on a cruise, so the cabin is not a cabin in the woods, it's a cabin on a ship. And you know, the cover kind of makes sense. Look, we're all a bit slow sometimes. In this thriller, we follow Lo, a journalist whose latest assignment takes place on a cruise, and so she goes and enjoys all the luxuries of said cruise like she should, until a passenger on board is thrown overboard, and everyone else just goes about their day as if nothing happened because all the passengers are accounted for, but Lo is like, guys, did you not just see someone get chucked overboard? Something's clearly wrong here. I've never read a book that takes place solely on a cruise, but that could be fun. A fun little secluded setting on water moment. This is probably the Ruth Ware I've seen talked about the least, but don't worry guys, I got you. I'll give you the tea. And then lastly, my book of the month order, which I have already opened because these boxes are like my little burst of joy each month. My choice book was The Leftover Woman by Jean Kwok. I believe this follows the repercussions of China's one-child policy, which I feel like is a really interesting topic that I personally have not read much about. We follow 2 women, one who is on the run from her husband, searching for her daughter who was taken at birth, and the other whose life is completely different. She has a prestigious family, a beautiful home, a high-powered career, and an adopted Chinese daughter she adores. Wow, I'm like getting emotional for these characters already. This seems like it is great exploration into motherhood. This sounds really good and unique. I'm intrigued. And then I also did pick up The Family Remains by Lisa Jewell, the sequel to The Family Upstairs, which I loved. A stunning thriller. I can't really tell y'all much about this to avoid spoilers, but I'm super excited to bench this one as well. Alright, here is my ginormous stack of books I've recently bought. We have like a good mix of books here. I am kind of impressed with myself. Good job, Sarah. I see this and I'm like, you know, perhaps I should go on a book buying ban. But then again, like, book shopping is my favorite form of therapy, my favorite self-love activity. So nah, I think I'm good. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me today and chit-chatting about these books. This is a fairly regular occurrence here on my channel, so if you have not subscribed yet, make sure to do so, and the next time I upload this type of video, it will get delivered to you right in your subscription box. Let me know which of these you would like me to prioritize. If you have bought any novels recently that you would like to share, I'd love to hear it. I want to know what's on your guys' TBRs as well. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really does help me, my channel out a lot. You can also comment, interact, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff. I'd really appreciate it. I hope you all are having a fantastic day, a fantastic end of fall season, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.